Well, greetings everybody. Tim Kreitz here with another little Tim Kreitz adventure. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving and enjoyed yourselves with friends and family. We'll talk a little bit about that. The main thing I want to do today, though, is I want to answer some questions about the oil and gas industry. If you guys saw my video on Shafter Lake and my ghost town ride on the towns of Stiles and Texon, those two vlogs featured oil field equipment, and it prompted a lot of questions. So I want to take you guys to a museum that's dedicated to helping people learn about the oil and gas industry. Oil and gas is absolutely essential in West Texas. In fact, the metro area I live in, Midland, Odessa, would be a ghost town itself if not for oil. So we'll talk about that. I'll show you some really cool stuff, and we'll just have a good time, so stick around.
It's awesome. Really cool.
I always feel a little bit guilty around Thanksgiving. I always count my blessings more, especially during that time, but we went to my brother's house for Thanksgiving and it was just so much food. Enough to make you realize just how excessively good we have it in the Western world. My brother deep fried this turkey, which is one of the things we do down here in the South. We take a turkey and we put it in a giant vat of peanut oil and we flash fry it, and it tastes delicious. Then on top of that they had a ham and all the fixings you can imagine, dressings, casseroles, then store-bought pies, homemade cakes, cookies. It was ridiculous. It was just too much. And of course most of the food's left over after everybody eats, and you got to split it up and then you eat it for a week, which at least we eat it. We don't let that stuff go to waste. But boy, that really does make you mindful of how good you've got it. All right, we are at the Petroleum Museum, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of you guys' questions regarding petroleum with this little visit. They're open today. And what these are here, these black things, these are oil wells. We call them pump jacks out here. And once an oil well is drilled and completed and they strike oil, they put one of these units in. Now these are both old classic style units, obviously. And there's a little third one, little mini one there too. Those are what actually pump the oil out of the ground and into holding tanks where trucks can come and get them and take them to the refinery to make gasoline and all the other things that oil is used for. Back here in this back area, they've got some preserved equipment from the old days. I'll show you some of this gear. Old stuff. One of the places I'll have to take you guys sometime for a moto vlog is to Penwell, Texas, where they have tons of these old oil tanks. They've just been sitting there for decades. Can you imagine that they used to store oil in wooden barrels like this? So this will give you a good idea of how an actual oil lease works. The oil is pumped out of the ground by the pump jack, and then it's sent through a system of valves and separators, or a separator. This is called a heater treater separator, which basically cracks the oil and separates it from the water. The oil goes to these tanks to be picked up by trucks, and the water goes to this tank to be picked up by trucks. And the water is poisonous. It's naturally poisonous. So it has to be pumped back down in the ground from whence it came. And that's a real, actually effective way of showing how an oil lease works and how we get oil out of the ground once it's been found and completed. So it kind of sucked that the rest of the museum wasn't open. They only had a few exhibits open. Apparently they're renovating. And so all the really cool stuff you didn't really get to see except for the Chaparral car exhibit. So one last little whirl around and I'll tell you a funny little story. Some food for thought on where oil comes from. We've been taught our whole lives that oil comes from plant and animal matter that has been trapped under the earth for extended periods of time. And over time, that carbon was converted into hydrocarbons or something like that. I'm certainly not a geologist. I'm not a scientist at all. You guys know I'm an artist. But here's the thing. In the 80s, we had a really bad oil bust. Lots of people lost their homes and lost all of their wealth. And in the process of recovering from that bust, we plugged a whole bunch of oil wells that were old. They were old 50 plus year old wells. They weren't producing very much anymore, and people just thought, well, there's not that much more oil down there in that formation, and so let's go ahead and just plug those wells. Well, around 2007, 2008, when we started to accelerate into a mega boom again, they said, you know what? We're getting so much money per barrel that it's worth unplugging these wells and going ahead and starting to get some oil out of them. So that's what they did. And those oils produced like crazy. They produced like they had either never produced before or producing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times better than they were when they were capped. Now what happened there? I thought oil was finite. I thought once a formation was dead, it was dead. That wasn't the case out here, and it happened in other parts of the world too. The question is, where does oil really come from? Is it finite? Is it is it actually the remnants of plant and animal matter, or is it coming from somewhere else? The last time I checked, plants and animals never lived 2, 3, 4 miles down inside the earth, and that's where we're drilling a lot of this new oil. So, I'm not saying that I believe in the abiotic oil theory, but I'm certainly curious about it. And I think it's something we should explore scientifically to see if there's any credence to it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I know I did. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday season. Merry Christmas. And God bless. See you on the next moto vlog. Peace.